guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lucia and this is Lulu's Leaves.
Flying high like the birds and the bees and the fill the sky with the songs and the trees.
So today I have a somewhat fun video for you guys. I'm going to be doing a tutorial, and in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how I make my moss poles. So recently I decided that I needed a lot of moss poles and I didn't want to have to go out and purchase a moss pole for every one of my plants that I wanted one for. So I figured that the easiest way to make a bunch of moss poles or have a bunch of moss poles is to make them myself. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing is showing you guys all of the tools that you're going to need, and then I will show you guys exactly how I make it. So the first thing that you're going to need is some sphagnum moss. I know that sphagnum moss quality really matters when you're rooting your plants in sphagnum. In this case, you can really use whatever sphagnum moss you can get as long as there are no additives in it. So I'm just going to be using this one that I picked up from a nursery that is local to me. Since this is basically just there to support the plant and have the aerial roots grow into, I'm not super concerned about the quality. So yes, some sphagnum moss. You'll also need a little bowl of water to soak your sphagnum in. You'll need some scissors. I'm just using some nail clipping scissors because they're small. Lots of fishing wire if you plan on doing lots of them. You definitely will need a good amount even for one, because as you will see, we need to wrap this fishing line around the pole quite a few times. And lastly, we have the PVC pipe. So basically you can cut this PVC pipe to whatever length you want. Make sure you have enough room for it to be potted in the pot that you want and still have that fit above the soil. So you're going to be planting a certain amount of this in the soil. All right, so with that, let's just get straight into it. The first thing you want to do once you have your PVC pipe is kind of line it up beside the pot. I'll show you guys an example. This is a horrible example, but let's say you wanted to put this moss pole in this pot. You basically want to measure it like this and make sure you mark off where you want the moss to end, because you don't necessarily need that moss in the soil. So basically we're just going to wrap it until the point where you would see it coming out of the soil. I'm just kind of making this one for generic purposes today, so I'm going to do it up until about here, I'd say. Once you've figured out where you need to put the moss until, you're gonna want to open up your moss bag. All right, so I put the sphagnum moss in the water and I'm basically just gonna let it sit there and soak. And as I need the pieces, I'll just pull them out and wring them out. I will say this is kind of a messy job. I'm just gonna clean up afterwards, but if you don't want your floor to be a disaster, I would put down a garbage bag or something like a mat beneath you so you don't get your floor disgusting. So the next step is you want to get your fishing wire prepared here. So I keep it attached to the spoolie here, so we make sure we have enough. It'll be never ending basically. These off my fingers. Basically, I know this is really difficult to see, but I think because I'm wearing black, you can actually see it better. I'm actually just going to tie a knot around the top here. This is going to be the top of the pole. That way when we're wrapping the moss around, we kind of have an anchor. So now I'm gonna grab my first clump of sphagnum moss, and you wanna take a good handful and basically just mold it around this pole at the top and hold it there with one hand, and do your best to wrap the string around with your other hand. You want to go up and down around this so you're getting some good angles and making sure that it's really holding it together. Alright, so we have our first little bit. Now basically you are just going to repeat this step all the way down the pole. You're going to be wrapping and wrapping and continuing to collect pieces of moss. I will say this is definitely easier when damp. It's not necessary, but sphagnum moss tends to dry out, and when it is dry, it's difficult to mold like this. And you just want to wrap it until you don't see any pieces that are sticking out like this, because those pieces might come loose in the future and you don't really want that, or it might create a mess. And I find if you're tired of wrapping this around and around and around, you can actually just spin the rod and it makes it a bit easier that way. And you can see so far this is looking really natural, which is the goal of this moss pole specifically. If you want something neater, this might not be the tutorial for you, but this is the look that I actually prefer, but it's totally personal preference. Every few inches, I like to go all the way to the top on an angle. And then I like to go all the way back down on the opposite angle. You can intentionally place that wire where you see pieces that are sticking out. If you can see how much is dropping down, you know this is messy. So at this point, I think I probably need another 2 inches and then we'll be done wrapping the moss. Alright, so now that we have the length that we want, we're going to go back to the top and kind of cover this hole up because we don't want that. That doesn't look cute. And a lot of the times you're looking at your plants from above, so we don't want any of that pipe showing. So you basically just want to work your way back up the pole. I'll also mention that I kind of like the look of it being somewhat uneven, where there's thicker parts and thinner parts, but you can definitely fill those in. If you go through and you see those spots, you can totally just go right back over it and layer some more moss on top. So with the top, you want to go kind of over the top and then pull it on a bit of an angle, and then again over the top on a bit of an angle. Sorry, this is really difficult for me to show you guys just because you have to really handle it. Alright, so our pole is all finished. Now what you want to do with the string is actually, you want to cut it and hang on to it there, put your thumb on that, and then cut another piece that's about 2 feet long. And you want to wrap that piece quite a few times around the dangling piece, kind of to secure that, and do it pretty tight. Once you've wrapped it around a few times, you want to tie a double knot. And then basically all that you have to do is cut off the long pieces that you see. Alright guys, so that is the moss pole complete. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you want to see other tutorials on other DIY projects, maybe like a painted terracotta pot, I can totally do that. Or I've done pinch pots before, I can show you guys how I made my pinch pots. But basically, this is it guys. I think it turned out great. They still are a little bit messy after you complete them, just because it's moss. It's not one giant piece wrapped around this. You did construct it, so it's going to come apart a little bit, but you can touch it up so easily, so I wouldn't be concerned at all. If you guys haven't already subscribed, please hit that button down below, and if you enjoyed the video, leave a thumbs up as well. Please comment and let me know if you guys are going to try out this tutorial, and again, leave comments if you want any others. With that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye!